Let's go. What I'm going to be doing on this channel is talking NBA news. I'm going to be talking NBA transactions. I'm going to be talking everything that impacts the NBA on a grand scale. That's hence the name ish_NBA. If you haven't already, go follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're going to give you the most logistic takes. We're going to give you the most realistic thought processes of how the NBA does its work. We have a lot to talk about throughout every summer, throughout every single day of this NBA, because there's always some sort of news. And let's just get right into it. Jaylen Brown yesterday secured the biggest bag in NBA history, getting 5 years, 307. What a deal for him. A guy who's been often criticized about his left hand, but my goodness, he can play. He's going to be able to live up to that contract, I hope, because he's making $70 million by the end of that. And it only leads me to think Anthony Davis is going to get that 3-year 160, 170, where he'll be making 56-ish a year. That's going to be great for him, but that's going to look like nothing of a $70 million for JB. Then we have a lot of people that are talking about who could be the next guy that makes it 350 mil to 400 mil. CBS predicts it could be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going for a $400 million extension when his deal is up because he's that next guy. I think Luka Doncic might be the guy that makes $100 million in a year, just because of what we're going to go to. The NBA makes so much damn money. I saw it from my own eyes at NBA Summer League. It's just an absolute event. NBA Con had so much money invested into it, and the output they received is probably insane. You see when you're close to everything, how much money is involved, how much luxury is involved, and you have to be able to accommodate for that. These are NBA players. These are professionals. They're used to a different type of lifestyle. They're used to something completely different than the average consumer is. And it's exciting because the game is only growing. Players are just getting better all around the board. Obviously, we have to talk about Bronny James. Him suffering cardiac arrest yesterday was so scary to the NBA world. It obviously happened with a USC player 6 months ago, Vincent. I don't want to butcher his last name. We'll put it in right here. He suffered cardiac arrest in practice 6 months ago when he was on the team, and that's just so scary. It's proof that it can happen to anyone due to what has happened with myocarditis, what has happened with COVID-19. It's also just if you work hard enough and you work too hard and your heart rate is jumping, things can happen, and it's really scary. It's the risks that we all take playing basketball. It's the risk that these elite athletes take playing basketball, and it's a horrible thing to hear. And I'm just wishing for the best for Bronny James, because not only is he a great player, he's a pioneer in today's sports media, in today's sports overall, because he is a gamer. He is a FaZe Clan brand ambassador. He does things that we all love to see. You're wishing the best for Bronny James. A player I want to talk about super fast is Patrick Williams. I think he's going to be a breakout candidate next season. I think we've all been hoping for him to be that next Kawhi Leonard because he's been called the Paw, the mini version of the Claw. He's got such an insane defensive stature. He's got such an insane knack for the basketball, and his hands are massive. So I could see him being so valuable, but it's just a matter of that offensive game. We're obviously seeing in offseason runs he looks great. Can he put it together next year to somehow hold this Bulls franchise together? Because my gosh, do they need a direction to go in? And another player along these lines who's a little bit, who has not produced in the exact same way as a Patrick Williams, but also has not gotten that opportunity is Cameron Reddish. I love Cam Reddish. If you guys watch my TikToks and Instagrams, I have too many videos of Cam Reddish, too much love for Cam Reddish, because I still view him as the next Paul George. I think that this kid can really do something in the Lakers system. I don't think he's getting anything more than 10 to 15 minutes a game, especially early on, because it seems that the Lakers rotation's kind of figured out right now. Let's break it down super fast. You have D'Angelo Russell at the point guard starting, obviously. Then you go to Austin Reeves. Then you go to LeBron James. Rumors are saying that because the Lakers have now paid Rui Hachimura 3 years, 51, he'll be starting. And it's probably good for his development because when he started, he looked amazing, and he can hit that open three next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Then you go to the bench. You look at Jared Vanderbilt's your backup four. He can play many different positions on the wing. He can defend your point guard. He can defend a wing. After seeing him, he might be 6'10". It was just insane to witness that man in person, and I'm excited for his potential to keep growing, especially after working with Phil Handy. Then you have Jackson Hayes, backup five, who I absolutely love. Obviously, the Lakers are in talks with Christian Wood. They're considering the option of Bismack Biyombo. They're considering the options of Tristan Thompson and if JaVale McGee get waived. Obviously, Dwight Howard has expressed interest in coming back, but I think the Lakers have better options right now so that they're going to look at in the near future. Then at the backup three, you're looking at Taurean Prince initially. This is where I think Cam Reddish could maybe steal a spot, but I don't really see it as of now because Cam Reddish is a great player in terms of skill, but Taurean Prince is a basketball player. He's a 3-and-D player. He fits perfectly next to LeBron James. He fits perfectly next to Austin Reeves, Anthony Davis, because he can stand in the corner, knock down a three, he can guard one of your best wings, and he has a Euro step that's actually very mean, and I really like that for him. And another player that Cam Reddish will be competing with is Max Christie. After witnessing every single one of this man's games at Summer League, every single dribble, he is an NBA player. He is polished now. He has confidence. You can tell he's way stronger. He's way buffer. They have been in the gym with Max Christie. They want him to become a 3-and-D prototype player. And you could just tell around a LeBron James, around a D'Lo, who's great at driving and kicking, around Austin Reeves, who can easily dish you the ball. You have your bench lineup in Gabe Vincent and Jalen Hood-Schifino, who are great at setting up shooters. And you have all this attention. And then you have a player whose form looks like he could go at a 40 to 45% clip from three. And it's just insane to think of the potential with Max Christie. He even dunked on someone in Summer League, and I don't think I ever thought I'd see that happen. Even though you could tell he's athletic, he may have grown an inch or two. Has a long wingspan. He was projected first-round pick last year. A lot of people think he would be a first-round pick this season because he would have been 19, 20 years old because he's just got that much talent. He was so good in high school. And this is basically going to my original point, which I'm always going to talk about almost every single video. I'm going to talk about this because we love to highlight younger players. We love to highlight those fringe players who you think are fringe players, but in reality are freaking amazing basketball players. Back in the day, players like Max Christie, back in the day, players like a Josh Minot, players like who we got to interview, like David McCormick, Julian Strother, Peyton Watson. These guys would have been immediate impact players in the older league because there weren't that many good players. Like, there were a lot. Everyone was good, but everyone's just so talented now. Everyone can do everything. It's just a matter of, do you have that IQ? Can you stay on a basketball court? Can you defend at a high level? We're going to see the most high-level basketball from all 30 teams next year, I project, because my goodness, even the Spurs, who are projected to land that number 1 pick next year, have Victor Wembanyama, who's going to beat teams that you're going to be surprised that he beats because he can play up to that star potential. He can play up to what another star is doing because he's got that mentality. Listening to him on JJ Redick's podcast, you just see he's built different. And my goodness, after responding to that first game where the pressure was high against Brandon Miller, I was in the crowd there. Everyone was anxious, hoping for him to do something crazy. People were talking mad shit along his name, and he was not able to perform offensively the first game, but he heard it. He responded 2 games later, and he went absolutely insane. I think you see something with Victor Wembanyama as being an elite defender next season. You see elite star potential with Scoot Henderson because he's got that kind of aura to him. He's got that dog. Seems like a fantastic individual too. So I think we're about to see one of the best drafts in history because Asar Thompson, Amen Thompson were insane to watch in person. Their athleticism is just as advertised as OTE, as you see in the videos. They can jump out of the gym. They have elite IQ when it comes to passing. They know exactly what reads to make on the fast break. They're going to be very exciting watches next year. I'm also excited to watch the Houston Rockets as a whole. Jabari Smith really excites me. Tari Eason really excites me as well because he's a 3-and-D player who I think can be a championship 3-and-D player one day. He just has that kind of dog in him. And Jabari Smith's talent is way underrated because he went after a Paolo and a Chet Holmgren. Also, I think it's important that we talk about this really quick because Tracy McGrady's been in the news. He was speaking on James Harden's trade request. He said, that makes 0 sense to me. I look at all the teammates he's played with. James has probably played with more Hall of Famers than anybody in the NBA, and he doesn't have a ring to show for it. I don't know what he's looking for, and I could not agree more. I guess he just wants to go home. James Harden is an LA guy. There were rumors about Phoenix because he went to ASU. Those were all BS. We could all tell from the beginning. I don't think he's ever going to play with Kevin Durant again, but you never know. All of these players are so unpredictable, but I think he just wants to be in LA. Ultimately, I thought Philly was his best chance to win. Him and Joel Embiid is such a good duo if you put your mind to it. And then you surround them with 3-and-D wings. You have Tobias, you have Maxey. You could have traded some players like Daniel House, Furkan Korkmaz. You could have signed back McDaniels. You could have traded Tobias for 3 different players. If you surround those guys with elite role players, you're talking about a championship team who is this close to beating Boston because Harden dropped 40 twice. It's about looking at your stars. It's about looking within. And maybe James Harden does not believe in what he sees with Joel Embiid. Maybe he believes in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Maybe he believes in Russell Westbrook, who helped him have the best year of his career. Maybe he believes in being with his friends, once again, another friend group, but being home and getting the job done there. There are a lot of rumors about this fat suit business that's going to happen. Everyone's already on his head about these burgers. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with James Harden. I wish he was staying in Philly personally because I like the league being so balanced. I like the parity that we got last season, but I totally do not blame him for wanting to come home to LA via the Clippers. It's also very important that we talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. My goodness, what a franchise. What a job Sam Presti is doing. I was not a fan of it at first because obviously I'm a Laker fan. I'm not going to be supporting much that's not Lakers because that's just how it is, right? That's how fandom works. But if we're talking objectively, what a way to do a rebuild. After seeing Chet Holmgren, after seeing J-Dub, after seeing Trey Mann, after seeing Jalen Williams, after seeing one of my favorite sleeper players, Ousmane Dieng, after seeing Kassan Wallace hit 6 threes in a game, his first game, this team's going to be scary. I have a video up on Instagram talking about how these guys are going to be the next playoff contender, and that's going to happen next season. We talked about Shai being a $400 million man. What about Josh Giddey? What about Lou Dort, who's looking even bigger? I love Aaron Wiggins. These guys have done the masterful of having so many first-round picks, but they need to figure out waiving 5 players. They have players like Oladipo. They have players like Rudy Gay. They have players like Davis Bertans, who's on a terribly weird contract of a 2-year 34, next year being a team option. If you waive that, we're talking about dead money on the cap for many years to come, unless he's willing to agree to a full buyout. Then you have to make a decision. Is it Isaiah Joe you're going to get rid of? Is it Trey Mann? No, I don't think you want to get rid of either of those guys. You don't want to get rid of Aaron Wiggins, which is why I think OKC should be looking into a trade. They're probably going to waive Ty Washington, Usman Garuba. But why not trade some of these guys along with Bertans, one of your first-round picks, acquire Jeremy Grant? I really love that idea because once Damian Lillard is traded to the Miami Heat for as much as they can get, I genuinely think Jeremy Grant could have elite trade value right now. 3 years, 150 pops out your eyes, but look, in a couple years, it's not going to look like a bad deal if Jeremy Grant can sustain the value he normally outputs on a team that's not very good. But then you put him back on the OKC Thunder. You're talking about an insane organization already. And you're talking about an insane team that has length, that has versatility. Everyone can play every position practically. Everyone can do everything. He may not fit your timeline, but what a fit he would be on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I like his fit on Philly. I like his fit on many other teams, but that's also going to be a wait and see option because I expect him, Yusuf Nurkic, and Damian Lillard to not be Portland Trailblazers next season. Why would they be? Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons are amazing players. Get Nikola Jovic in that trade with Miami. Acquire a big. Play Chris Murray. Play these young guys. Become a franchise that tanks because then we're talking about an elite draft class next year at the wing. Ron Holland, I love. The kid out of France, I love. I cannot say his name. I won't even act like I can. I like Adaimara Gomez from UCLA. I don't think he's that high of a pick, but he's a big that people are going to look at. He's 7'3", 7'4" from Spain. I think the draft is way better than what people are giving it credit for next year. The NBA is in a great state. You could be seeing OKC just getting more and more young talent. You could be seeing Portland getting more and more young talent. Really quick, I want to talk about the Pacers because we're kind of just jumping around the NBA right now. The fit of Obi Toppin and Tyrese Halliburton is going to be very exciting next season. You already heard how Tyrese feels about that on the PG podcast. He just looks like he's getting better. The new $260 million man. He links up with that contract, the same as Anthony Edwards and the same as Justin Herbert. I believe in his game to get better. I believe in Obi Toppin to get better. I believe in Jarris Walker. I believe in Benedict Mathurin to get better. I believe in Isaiah Jackson out of Spire Academy. He played with LaMelo Ball, went to Kentucky. They have young talent. This is basically my point. There are so many teams that have young players that may not even play. Like think Jalen Smith. He may get cut. Jordan Nwora may get cut. Daniel Tice, has like a Davis Bertans situation on that contract, but he's got 2 years, 18 remaining, second year team option. What the heck? Like, do you waive that? Are you willing to have that dead money? Or are you going to keep all these young guys who may not be excited about not playing? Which is what leads me to my final point in this video. The NBA is in dire need of expansion. We need 2 more teams. We need the Las Vegas Aces, whatever you want to call them. That's the WNBA name. By the way, they're insane. We will talk WNBA next video, but my goodness, they're insane. You get a Las Vegas team, then you get to the Seattle Supersonics back, and now we're in business. Now we're in total business. What that's going to look like is probably 1 to 2 years from now, because you need a CBA agreement for that. Adam Silver has already talked about this. The rumors have been heavy. It's crucial. There are too many young players that aren't getting an opportunity, that are going to get waived this offseason, that are going to go to other opportunities like the G League and never make it out unless there are 2 more teams. Like, think about what the G League did for Jordan Poole. Think about what the G League did for KPJ. Think about what it does for a player that needs an opportunity that got fizzled out really fast. Now, 2 extra teams, another opportunity for a player to shine, for a star to be born. And then you can make new trades. You can make new signings. There's a whole set of 2 markets that are extremely rich that can handle NBA teams. There's already building going on. There's rumors heavy. Las Vegas is ready to have a team. They're already adding so many organizations. Seattle deserves their Supersonics back, especially if Jeff Bezos decides to become one of the owners, because you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar organization already the second it's incepted, and you can invest in players. You can invest in Seattle homegrown guys like Zach LaVine, DeJounte Murray. You can look at people who are from these areas who want to go back. Julian Strother is a Las Vegas guy. There are a lot of people that are from these areas that are willing to go. Trust me, there are a lot of people that would rather live in Seattle and Las Vegas than they would in like a Charlotte, that they would in like a DC. It's just, it is what it is. People like the West Coast. And you add these 2 West Coast teams, and we can finally, for all of us NBA fans with OCD, in 2K My League, we can finally see Memphis and New Orleans, one of the 2, go to the East while these 2 teams go to the West. And now we have more of a balanced landscape on the NBA overall. And this is what I want to see. I think this is where the league's trending. Look for it. It'll happen in 2 years. It should happen in 2 years.